Hi, welcome to my February book haul. Probably going to be quite a quick one, but let's get into it. I've just realized these books almost match up perfectly cover to cover. Number one is kind of like a memoir, and it's one that I got at work. It's called Educated by Tara Westover. I'm actually really interested in reading about cults, although I haven't read that much about it yet, but I've watched a lot of documentaries. And this is the story of a young woman and how she grew up in Idaho in a very isolated family, and how she sort of left and got an education. Dad worries the government will force us to go to school, but it can't because it doesn't know about us. 4 of my parents' 7 children, including me, don't have birth certificates. And then the other one is John McGregor's Reservoir 13. Now this was also longlisted for the Costa Book Awards. I made a video about the Costa Awards early in January and actually went to the final awards, and this was in the goodie bag. It was interesting because they had these really nice videos of the authors talking about their books and lots of nice scenery shots. It made me really interested in reading this one, even though initially I didn't pick it up. It's about a teenage girl that goes missing. I think it's like close to a small town in the English countryside. Actually, I haven't read that many crime books, but I've been listening to a true crime podcast, My Favorite Murder, and I've been watching a lot of true crime TV programs or crime-centered programs. So actually I'm very interested in trying out some more crime. So this is going to be the one. Then this is a very interesting one I got in the mail. It is The Displaced, Refugee Writers on Refugee Lives. So this is only a sampler because the final book, says here, will include 20 essays. So this is obviously only a little bit. But it's coming out in April. It's got like a life jacket on the front and it sounds like a really interesting premise. So definitely going to be reading this. We're going into the young adult books now. This is The Wicked Deep by, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Shay Earnshaw. So very beautiful copy. And it says there were 3 sisters 2 centuries ago who were killed for, I think, for being witches. And then each year now they return and take the bodies of 3 young women, seeking revenge by dragging boys to their watery deaths. Definitely seems like it has a bit of a sharp edge to it, bit of a fairy tale twist, so that sounds great. I was gonna say I don't know when it's out, but it has a little label on it that says it's out in March. Then this is a book I have already read, but the publisher brought out these beautiful anniversary editions and they sent me a set of them. So I've read the first one. It's The Knife of Never Letting Go, the Chaos Walking trilogy, and then there's also Monsters of Men and The Ask and the Answer, which I still have to read. Just look at how gorgeous those sprayed edges are. These are beautiful editions. So if you were thinking of picking up these books, especially after I talked about this in my top 10 favorite books of the year, have a look at these editions. And then there's 2 more. I went to a Scholastic event recently and this was the book that was in the goodie bag, and it is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. The premise is that there is a group of 5 friends. They nearly miss like a car accident, but then when they get home there's a dark figure there or something like that who basically says one of you will have to die and you have to make a unanimous decision on who it's going to be. But I think from there it twists into something a bit more like fantasy memory based, but people were raving about this and I love this proof copy as well, so I'll be reading that. That's out in June, so got a while left to read it. And finally there's a book that there's been so much chatter about in the US and it's finally out in the UK, and it is The Bells. Set in New Orleans. Don't think I've ever read a book that's set in New Orleans. It seems to be set at court. I don't know what kind of court. Maybe there's like a queen in New Orleans in the story. The text on the back actually doesn't give that much away, but I feel like that setting sounds really cool. So those were all the books that made their way onto my shelves in February. In the description I'll always indicate which ones were sent to me by publishers in case I forgot to mention it for any of them. This one was sent to me by the publisher too. So hopefully some of those are ones that you are interested in maybe picking up or keeping an eye out for when it comes out. And that is it for me for now. Thanks so much for watching. Doei!